to justify.
It was, yeah. Honestly, I would never doubt us. I would never doubt us, Thompson. Here we go. Here is one for a vet. My hypothyroidism dog has had 2 general anesthetics this year already, and each time he has had really itchy skin afterwards. What's going on there? It takes a while to get back to normal with the help of Skinny's capsules. No, we don't know what. I don't know promoter of them.
I've got
I
some.
haven't a clue what that. Oh, good. Why does this happen to him? Why is the dog getting inflamed after his anesthetic, Nicholas?
Yeah. Okay, hang on. You keep talking.
I think I will. I was just waiting to see if you're going to come back in seconds or minutes. But while Nick is looking for stuff there, I will just, from what I understand of hypothyroidism, I always remember hypo is low, hyper is high, so a hyperactive child. But a hypo-responsive child, that's far more worrying. Okay, so hypo is low. So when you hear of hypothyroidism, you know it's low thyroid. So it's an underactive thyroid. And that issue is far more common in dogs. Hyperthyroidism does exist, often a little tumor or something on the pituitary, on the thyroid, and it results in these issues, but that's more common in cats. So hypothyroidism more common in dogs, which I'd like to know why, Nick. But I'm not familiar with any of this inflammation business after the GA, which is news to me. So what's going on?
Okay, so hyper, as you say, it's cats, and we're talking 10,000 to 1 go hyper when left to their own devices. If you feed them loads of thyroid tissue, even dogs will go hyper. Yeah. But generally speaking, cats go hyper, dogs go hypo, low. Humans can go hyper or hypo. Why that is, I do not know. However, the person to read on hypothyroidism, low thyroid in dogs, is Gene Dodds, Jeandodds. Aha, good man.
What's backwards?
That's backwards.
No, I was going to turn it around. What a dummy. Oh, my God. Anyway, they get the idea.
Yeah. So, she's written the book, Canine Thyroid Epidemic, just there. And so that is the book to read. Whether she talks, I don't think she talks about cats and why the difference. It's some strange metabolic issue. I don't know why. And that irritates me. But it's interesting. Humans go either high or low. Anyway, so hypothyroidism is a lot more common in dogs than we were led to believe. Gene Dodds has told us that 40% of aggressive dogs in the United States are hypothyroid, because at vet college, you're taught that hypothyroid dogs are fat, lazy, and chilly. And that is only a subset of all the hypothyroid that you will see. You can see hyper dogs, you can see skinny dogs, you can see dogs that are just completely normal, but they keep on getting skin infections. You can see dogs who've got persistent liver problems. You can see even gut problems, inflammatory gut problems can be linked to hypothyroidism, because your thyroid, I always think it's a bit like a thermostat. The thermostat in your house, it's only a tiny little thing, but if you just tweak it slightly, your entire house, every room in the house changes temperature. And that's exactly how the thyroid works. And therefore, every cell in the body, as well as having an insulin receptor, every cell in the body, they have a thyroid hormone receptor as well. So it means small or persistent changes in thyroid or insulin can have profound effects on the whole body, which I think is amazing, right. Which is why insulin is such a big issue. The book to read on insulin is by Benjamin Bickman, Bickmann, I think double N, and it's called Why We Get Sick. Wonderful book. And I was talking to people about this. A lady came up to me over the weekend at Edition Dog, and she was saying, "Oh, my daughter gets a lot of acne. Could this be to do with her diet, and I said yes, absolutely. If you've got persistent high levels of glucose, meaning high levels of insulin, that can be associated. The other one is Dr. David Wheatbelly. He talks about acne, and there is a direct link between sugar, insulin, and acne, which is really interesting. Very interesting.
Also, Lustig on YouTube. If you look at Professor Lustig on YouTube and type in "the skinny on obesity," and he gives a 4-part video series on how insulin works with diagrams, which is very handy to look at. So it tells you exactly when you take insulin, when you inject it, this is what it does. It takes the sugar and it pumps it into the fat stores. That's its job. Amazing. And so he's got this wonderful way of explaining it because the guy is all over it. He was the guy that discovered the leptin issue, the switching on and off of hunger with fat. But so anyway, okay, Nick, so we've got hypothyroidism. Can I just comment on one thing? When people eat thyroid and they worry about it spiking, kind of causing hyperthyroidism, just a note on that. There is one example of that happening in dogs where some ne'er-do-well took beef thyroid, which is quite large because she's a big thing, you know, and they take this beef thyroid and they dried it out and sold it as pet treats, and they put it in canned food, and it resulted in a lot of dogs getting terribly ill very quickly, instantly. You know, the body, you're taking the hormone that was in that thyroid, so it's thyroxine, and then if you eat that, you've suddenly got a huge spike of thyroxine, and boom, you're causing this hyperthyroidism. So people panic about eating thyroid, but I would say your dog is a whole prey eater. He eats tiny amounts of thyroid quite regularly. It's not a big deal to him. It's actually quite normal, probably extremely beneficial if you think about it. All those organs and bits and pieces are. It's just that he's not supposed to be at a cow's thyroid for dinner. That's not normal food for him. We're talking about a whole mouse, a whole bird, a whole frog. So that I just wanted to put that bit in case people are freaked out about eating thyroid. They're often worried chicken necks and duck necks make up a considerable part of the chicken and duck food your dogs are eating, believe me, next to the cheapest bit of meat off the bird with a bit of bone in it. But the thyroid isn't on that neck that we've ever seen, because the thyroid in the bird is actually down. It's in a funnier, different place because they're flying animals. It's down in the cavity, so it doesn't come off with the neck. So you don't often see it attached. So not to panic with that one. It's a big myth that's out there. Sorry, Nick, back to your thyroidism and the GA.
No, absolutely great. So, my things are doing funny things again. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Oh, yes, there was an incident of dogs getting hyperthyroidism in, I think, Poland or from I think Polish imports. Yeah, no offense to our Polish family, but when you see hyperthyroidism in dogs, it's almost always dietary. Okay, so if you see it, it's usually that, and I have seen it in the UK as well, and you know, and these are even in very reputable manufacturers who do religiously remove thyroid tissue. So you've got to ask the question: where is that thyroid tissue coming from? Yeah. So it's a question. So if your vet turns around to you and says you've got hyperthyroidism in your dog, then you need to think about the food, which is all the more reason to feed variety. Okay.
Yeah, dried treats, I think. Dried treats are dangerous because treats want the cheapest meat possible. Once it's dried out, you have no idea what it is. So beef is beef. They don't have to tell you what organ it is. They don't have to tell you what part of the beef it is. It's just beef treats. So that's a concern, perhaps, more so than the complete raw made in the UK. But who knows? Who knows? I would be instantly sampling my treat. If my dog has hyperthyroidism, great tip, Nick, I'd be keeping that treat and getting it analysed. Send it to the vet and say, tell me how much thyroxine is in this product.
Awesome. That's a good thought. Really good thought. Okay. So to the question, this is quite nice, isn't it? Actually, talking around a subject is very, it's more interesting than just going, yep, it's this, and this. No. Next question, I think. Okay. So the
information skin. After the GA. Information after the dog got 2 GA, general anesthetics, and she's itchy after it. So what's going on there?
Okay, it's impossible to say for sure, but what goes through my mind is that when you have a general anesthetic, GA, you are pumped with toxins, just as alcohol will make you fall over or go to sleep. They use propofol, they use isoflurane, these things. Isoflurane, it's a chlorine gas, okay? It's toxic, but you use it so carefully and at such low levels that you have this very essential anesthetic, and your consciousness is reduced. So that you can do surgery, which is, one of the most amazing parts of medicine, because otherwise you've got to hack legs off, which is what they used to do in the old days without any anesthetic. And so it's a wonderful thing. However, it is a toxin, whichever way you look at it. And so my thinking is that either the dog has a degree of sensitivity to something in those anesthetics. Yeah. Propofol, for example, they used to call it magic milk. It's a white milky solution. And as well as the propofol, it will have agents and carriers in it. Okay. Or whatever regime they used. Drugs rarely come on their own. They usually have excipients, which is a posh way of saying other stuff in the liquid, other stuff in the tablet. And you may not be sensitive to the protagonist, the star of the show. You may be allergic to the walk-on part who came in as part of that medication. So that would be number one. A bit of reaction, bit of sensitivity to that thing. The other thing that I think is worth thinking about is maybe there was some kind of disruption of the biome. Yeah, the toxin goes in, but the bugs are not happy. Or maybe if the dog, I'm just thinking out loud here, maybe if the dog was in for a day or two, then they would have been feeding it. God knows what they're going to feed it. Usually they're feeding, Hills or Royal Canin or something like this. And if that's unfamiliar to the dog, then that might be it. What they do really commonly, there's a Hills do a thing called AD, which is kind of for post-surgical recovery. Okay, now what actually dogs need is just great food. Go home, have some great raw food, and off you go. But it's an opportunity for them within the market. It's like, here's some pate that you can give to your dog, and they will, just to get them going at the other side. I think you were mentioning scrambled egg earlier. I think scrambled egg is brilliant. Yeah, and a bit of porridge and a bit of butter, and off you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you the recipe later.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. That's my thought. And the Skinnies capsules, they're really, really great. They're really useful. I use them a lot. I import them from the States. In the States, you can get hold of them from allergicpet.com. And it is not a panacea. It's not, you've got an itchy dog, here's some herbs, dog stops itching for life, forever. However, it is one of the tools that we use when we are presented with itchy dogs. And I would say in about 40% of cases, it's a very useful tool. So in the States, you can get hold of it. We stock it now. We are going to, there we go. We are going to be starting the Holistic Vet shop in the next few days, and so you'll be able to get hold of this if you need it. So this is good. So there you go. That would be just a few thoughts.
That makes sense. Isn't it funny? Like, because the skin it's a symptom. The skin. I always say it's like the smoke coming out the roof of a burning house, and so you can give supplements to stop the skin issue. But I'd be kind of thinking, okay, why are my smoke alarms going off? And I think it could easily be the GA upsetting things, but it could also be the stress. I mean, stress will smash your biome, and you're sitting in this place for 24 or 48 hours. There's other dogs barking that don't enjoy it as much as you do. Who wants to be away from mum and dad that long without being told what's going on? And you're just waking up from a GA. So yeah, big biome smash. I bet you there's a few papers out there on general anesthetics and stayovers and biome, and I'm going to find them. So that's interesting. I'll have a look around tonight when I'm having a glass of wine. And then, yes, what was the third one? You said the diet. Yeah, they definitely will feed. It's hard for them to take in raw feeding because, no offense to the conventional veterinary sector, but they're kind of still terrified of fresh food and they don't want the hassle of taking in your raw. We'll just feed them this really high quality tinned stuff, which is grain based. So this dog is recovering and suddenly he's fed wheat. But if you stay off wheat and glyphosate and all the other stuff that we know is in those tins, if you stay off that stuff and then you go back on it, the body goes, no, I don't want any of that, particularly with my biome and stress. So it is an interesting thing, and it's who knows which one of those is the issue. But yeah, okay, cool, very good. What's the
I love
next
it.
one?
That's really, really good. That's a
one.
good,
Yeah.
some good thoughts there. Okay.